All right, hey, thanks, and welcome to Know You Are Gods. Please bear with me while I try and work my way through this video. This is probably like the third, fourth retake I've done just because I feel like I'm stammering over myself, over my words. But basically, what this channel is all about, if you haven't watched my first video, is about just revealing one of the best kept secrets and the most important secret kept from humanity. It's been hidden for over 2,000 years. It's been hidden in plain view within the Bible. The entire Bible is the secret. Every word of that Bible is code. It's just secret. You have to decipher that Bible. And people try and do it all the time, and they're just not getting it because they're taking the Bible as literal history, as as if the characters were real people in the past, which it is not. The Bible is metaphors, allegories, and symbols. It is a psychological drama of human consciousness. That's all it is. It was written by a series of authors over a period of time. It was not written by one guy in one sitting. The authors who wrote these were more than likely priests of some class way back when. And back then priests were part of the government, part of the governing bodies of local cities, and if you can even call them cities, I guess you could. Back then, but these priests or illumined mystics, whatever you want to, however you want to call them, they were conscious, and it's almost like they wrote this Bible as some kind of code. And it even states somewhere in the Bible something to the effect, I'm paraphrasing here, let those who have ears hear and those who have eyes see. It's basically what the Bible is. If you can decipher the Bible, you're golden. But a lot of people can't do that, and I still struggle with some of the meanings in the Bible, trying to decipher what they mean, because you have to keep in mind that the Bible is an autobiography of every human being. It's the internal aspects of man, your mental aspects. It's psychological, and it's all about consciousness. But if we take a look at these first two lines here, in the very beginning of the Bible, Genesis, the history of creation, we just break down the first line. In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. Okay, now that is not a description of what happened, or how the earth was created, or how the universe was created. It has nothing to do with earth. It has nothing to do with the universe. It's all about man's inner self, mentally, not your physical body, not your organs or anything. It's all about your I am, your consciousness, your I-NESS. In the beginning of what? In the beginning, when you first become self-aware. Because you got to remember, if you don't know already, and a good book to get is, you can get it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. The author's name is Julian Jaynes. The book was written, I think, in 1973. I got a copy 20 years ago. But the name of the book is The Origin of Consciousness in the Breakdown of the Bicameral Mind. So you have to remember that man did not become conscious until 1235 BC. And how do we know that? We just know that by archaeology, whatever. Archaeology, Jesus, findings. Like just little figurines of what they worshipped as gods. Just a whole series of stuff. So they come to find out and put everything together. Julian Jaynes, his theory is, man didn't become conscious, self-aware, or use I or I am, until after 1235 BC. Okay, so once that happened, or during that time, I don't know exact time frame. You can reference that book, and he doesn't really know for sure, because how would you be able to determine that accurately? I mean, the exact date, you can't really. But suffice it to say that man was unconscious prior to that. Man used two halves of his brain, kind of like an animal. One half of his brain is where he heard God. Man heard voices, kind of like a paranoid schizophrenic would hear voices, and that's how God came about. That's how the Greeks had several gods. That's how, all throughout the world, you see it all over the world, where man was operating under a bicameral mind, where he heard voices, and that's how gods were created. You see it in the Vikings with their gods, with Thor and all their different gods. The Greeks had all their gods. The Aztec and the Mayans had all their different gods. You had, and still to this day, you have the Hindus. They have millions of gods. And that whole idea is still being pushed today, because for two reasons. One, it's a hidden agenda to keep man enslaved, and two, a lot of the people that are teaching this stuff have no idea themselves. They're just continuing on with the same old, just taking their religions as literal historical facts when they're not. It's now let's get back to the Bible. The Bible, like I said before, is a psychological. It's just a psychological drama of man. And in the beginning going back to the Genesis, the history of creation. In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. In the beginning is when you, as an individual, become conscious, which is God. Your consciousness is God. Created the heavens and the earth. Now, the heavens, we all know there's no such thing as like heaven up in the sky. So the heavens is you eternally understanding and accepting the fact that you are conscious, that consciousness is God, and that you can create heaven here on earth using your imagination, which is Jesus. I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. Okay, that's what Jesus in the Bible is talking about. So, I and my Father are one. My consciousness, I am one with it, because I'm aware that I'm conscious. We are one. But my Father is greater than I. Consciousness is greater than my consciousness is in every human being. And when you die, you will continue to be conscious. You are conscious. I mean, look at, if you don't accept the fact, and I said this in my other video, if you don't accept the fact that consciousness is God and that you create your own reality with your imagination, and you continue to just struggle and suffer whatever you're suffering, or whatever, if you keep going down the religious path, and Jesus isn't coming to earth. You're not going to heaven, and you're not going to hell. Jesus is within you, and heaven and hell is what you make here on earth using your imagination. You create with your imagination. So that takes care of the first line. In the beginning of consciousness, God, you create heaven or hell on the earth. Now, earth, when we think of earth, what is earth? Earth is a round ball, true. But in this here, anything outside of you is earth. Anything that you create in your reality, whether you know it or not, is earth. It's outpictured through you. You've all heard about this in The Secrets, and The Secrets and all these other books that kind of take you there, but they don't go all the way, because they don't want to, either they don't know, or they don't want to reveal the true. They probably don't know. They don't want to reveal the true secret, that consciousness is God, and in that your imagination, using your imagination, you can create anything you want. And that's all that first line is saying. in the beginning, when you realize your consciousness, when you realize God is consciousness, God created, your consciousness created the heavens. And those heavens appear on earth. Your heaven will appear on earth when you accept that God is your consciousness, and that you can use your imagination to create whatever you want in this world. You can create a state of poverty, or you can create a state of wealth. It all depends on you. It all depends, it's all about whatever you envision. Imagination, envision, same thing. Let's take the second one, which I really haven't looked at, but I'm going to do it right now. The earth was without form. Okay? So until when as an unconscious human being, when you're not aware of your consciousness, and, close your eyes and sit down and just realize that you are a conscious human being, and that your body is just temporary, your body's just a meat suit, that even when you die, you're going to come back. If you haven't come to the fact that, consciousness is God, if you haven't accepted that fact, and you don't do whatever you have to do to get back to the source, the energy, God, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, you're going to end up coming back to either this earth or one similar to it. We all know there's billions of Earth-like planets out there. You're just going to keep replaying it out over and over and over and over until you get it right. We're all gonna end up with consciousness. We're all gonna end up and never have to come back here, and that's our goal. But we don't. If you're not aware of it, you don't know it. And I know I sound like I'm crazy, but I mean, who's crazier, me for thinking that my consciousness is God, or you, not you in particular, but the religious person who thinks Jesus was hung on a cross, stabbed with a spear, thrown in a cave, 3 days later he comes back to life and ascends to heaven. That's not what that means. Ascend means to just become more and more and more consciousness. That's all that means. Ascend means to be conscious. He ascended to God. He just, that's all it is. It's just being self-aware. It's just being aware of everything, And people are starting to slowly wake up, when they're starting to pay attention. If you're paying attention to the news and all the political stuff that's going on, and people are starting to, wake up to what, thanks to Obama, and all that stuff, and Bush and all those guys, and all the craziness that's been taking place over the, since 9/11, really. It's just, our country and our world has just gotten crazy, and people are just slowly starting to wake up. But people need to go beyond that as well. We need to wake up beyond politics and beyond governments, and realize that we create with our minds. We are gods. There is no authority outside of yourself. There is none. Even if somebody comes to your door with a gun and kills you, you're not, your meat suit may die, but your consciousness won't. You'll return somewhere else. And it says that over and over in the Bible. It says it over and over in the Bible. There is no outside authority. An authority could be anything. It could be religion, obviously. Governments, obviously, the police, governments, rules, stop signs, cigarettes, drugs, alcohol, tobacco in any form, sugar, any addiction. There's a lot of things. The addiction to social media, constantly checking your Facebook. Those are all outside authorities, and the character in the Bible named Jesus, warned us, or actually God did, that, you're not supposed to have any idol gods. There is no authority outside of self. There's no authority outside of you. You are your own authority. Why? Because you are a conscious human being. You have to accept that you are consciousness. You are God. God is consciousness. You can create your reality good or bad.